The 20th of July, 1944, Nazi Germany. Adolf Hitler meets Italy's fascist leader Benito Mussolini, even though just a few hours earlier, German military officers attempted to assassinate him at the Wolf's Lair, his East Prussian headquarters in Rastenburg. The plot marked the culmination of efforts by several groups within the German resistance, who hoped that Hitler's death would trigger an anti-Nazi revolt and overthrow the Nazi government. As part of the plan, in the confusion of Hitler's death, other major Nazi leaders would be arrested and a new government would be established. This government was intended to negotiate an armistice to end the war on more favorable terms for Germany. However, the plot failed. In the days that follow, Hitler orders a massive hunt for conspirators, and their executions will continue until the last days of the war. One of these conspirators is a German general, Carl-Heinrich von Stülpnagel. Carl-Heinrich Rudolf Wilhelm von Stülpnagel was born on the 2nd of January 1886 in Berlin, then part of the German Empire. He came from a noble family and was the son of Prussian Lieutenant General Hermann von Stülpnagel and his wife Luise, née Baroness von der Tann-Ratsamhausen. In 1904, after completing his high school education, Stülpnagel joined the Prussian army as a cadet officer. During the First World War, which lasted from the 28th of July 1914 to the 11th of November 1918, Stülpnagel fought on the Western Front and was awarded both classes of the Iron Cross for his service. During the war, in January 1916, he married Helena, Baroness von Pentz, and the marriage produced 3 children. In March 1920, Stülpnagel took part in the failed Kapp Putsch, an attempted coup against the German national government in Berlin. The goal of the coup was to overturn the German Revolution of 1918 to 1919, overthrow the democratic Weimar Republic, and establish an autocratic government. In the following years, Stülpnagel continued to serve in the German army, gradually rising through the military ranks. On the 30th of January 1933, Adolf Hitler was appointed Chancellor of Germany by President Paul von Hindenburg. The same year, Stülpnagel was appointed head of the Foreign Armies Department within the General Staff of the Army. This department was responsible for analyzing intelligence on foreign armed forces, particularly potential military adversaries. After taking power in 1933, the Nazis swiftly dismantled Germany's democratic institutions, establishing a totalitarian state under Adolf Hitler's leadership. Political opponents, particularly communists and socialists, were violently suppressed, with many imprisoned in the first concentration camps such as Dachau, which was established in March 1933. These camps became a tool to intimidate and silence those who opposed the regime. The Nazis also launched cultural purges, with the infamous book burnings of May 1933, symbolizing their attempt to eradicate un-German ideas, targeting works by Jewish, Marxist, and liberal authors. Moreover, conflict with the Christian churches arose as the Nazis sought to align religious institutions with Nazi ideology, arresting dissenting priests and restricting church activities. While Stülpnagel was growing increasingly disillusioned with the Nazi regime and its oppressive policies, the last straw came with the Night of the Long Knives, which occurred between the 30th of June and the 2nd of July, 1934. During this purge, the SS assassinated many members of the rival SA, a paramilitary wing of the Nazi Party, including its leader, Ernst Röhm. Despite his growing hatred towards the Nazi regime, Stülpnagel remained staunchly anti-Bolshevik and anti-Semitic, and in 1935 he published a memorandum combining both elements. In September 1938, Stülpnagel was involved in the September Conspiracy, a plot by German military officers to overthrow Hitler and prevent a potential war with the Western powers over Czechoslovakia. However, the plans to remove Hitler were largely abandoned after the Munich Agreement, when the leaders of Britain, France, Italy and Germany met in Munich on the 29th and 30th of September 1938 and agreed to the dismemberment of Czechoslovakia. This destroyed any chance of the plot succeeding, as Hitler was then seen in Germany as the greatest statesman of all time at the height of his greatest triumph. On the 30th of September 1938, upon his return from Munich, Chamberlain made his famous Peace for Our Time declaration, believing he had averted war. However, he was wrong. The Second World War began on the 1st of September 1939, when Nazi Germany invaded Poland. The German invasion of France, Belgium, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands started on the 10th of May 1940 and became known as the Battle of France. These countries, along with France, were conquered within 6 weeks. During the second phase of the Western Campaign, Stülpnagel temporarily commanded the 2nd Army Corps. Afterward, he became chairman of the German-French Armistice Commission, responsible for overseeing the implementation of the 1940 armistice, including the demilitarization of collaborationist Vichy France and ensuring compliance with German directives. On the 22nd of June 1941, under the codename Operation Barbarossa, Nazi Germany invaded the Soviet Union, its former ally, in the war against Poland. During the invasion, Stülpnagel commanded the 17th Army, which secured victories in the battles for the Ukrainian cities of Uman and Kiev, and its soldiers were involved in the massacres of Jews there. Another massacre in which his units were involved occurred in Lviv in late June and July 1941. After the German-Soviet invasion of Poland in 1939, Lviv was annexed by the Soviet Union. When German forces occupied the city on the 30th of June 1941, members of the 1st Mountain Division, auxiliary units, Einsatzgruppen, Nazi mobile death squads, and soldiers of the German army took part in the violence. As a result, at least 4,000 Jews were massacred. Although Stülpnagel officially ordered his subordinates to maintain security, discipline, and order in Lviv, he did little to stop the violence once it had begun. In the following months, Stülpnagel signed numerous orders authorizing reprisals against civilians in response to partisan attacks and closely collaborated with the Einsatzgruppen in their mass executions of Jews. Among the victims were men, women, and children. Instead of condemning the killings, he criticized the disorderly way they were carried out, particularly the premature taking of hostages and the random nature of some measures. He instructed his troops to focus on Jews and communist civilians, stating that communists were Jews who needed to be captured anyway. In October 1941, Stülpnagel resigned as commander of the 17th Army, officially for health reasons. In February 1942, he was appointed military commander of German-occupied France, succeeding his distant relative, General Otto von Stülpnagel. In this position, he and his personal advisor, Oberstleutnant Colonel Cäsar von Hoffacker, maintained contact with other members of the conspiracy against Hitler. Stülpnagel was a staunch anti-Semite, and despite his resentment toward the Nazi regime, he continued to kill Jews. As the military commander in France, he ordered that future reprisals for French resistance activities should involve the mass arrests and deportations of Jews. Following an attack on German soldiers, Stülpnagel ordered the arrest of 743 Jews, most of whom were French, and had them interned at a German-run camp in Compiègne. Another 369 Jewish prisoners were deported to Auschwitz in March 1942. From early 1942, several military officers such as Colonel Klaus von Stauffenberg became convinced that Germany was being led to disaster and that Hitler's removal from power was necessary. After the Battle of Stalingrad in December 1942, despite his religious scruples, Klaus von Stauffenberg concluded that the Führer's assassination was a lesser moral evil than Hitler's remaining in power. On the 20th of July, 1944, Stauffenberg placed one of 2 bombs in a briefcase under the table in Hitler's briefing room in the Wolf's Lair. However, he was unable to arm the second bomb in time, and after Stauffenberg left the room, the briefcase was coincidentally moved under the heavy support of the table leg. It detonated, but failed to kill Hitler. Stülpnagel was also involved in the conspiracy to assassinate Hitler and carried out his part of the plot. His role primarily involved ordering German Oberst Hans Ottfried von Linstow, who had only been informed of the plan that same day, to round up all SS and Gestapo officers in Paris and imprison them. However, when it became clear that the assassination attempt in East Prussia had failed, Stülpnagel was unable to convince Field Marshal Günther von Kluge, the Commander-in-Chief West, to support the coup, and was forced to release the prisoners. As a result of the failed coup, every member of the Wehrmacht, the German armed forces, was required to re-swear his loyalty oath to Hitler by name. On the 24th of July 1944, the military salute was officially replaced throughout the armed forces with the Hitler salute, in which soldiers outstretched their arm and saluted with Heil Hitler. In the days that followed, Hitler ordered a massive hunt for conspirators, which continued for months. Stülpnagel was then ordered to report to the Armed Forces High Command in Wunstorf, near Berlin. While traveling near the French city of Verdun, he told his driver he wanted to visit the battlefield where he fought during World War I. He stepped out of the car, shot himself in the head, and fell into the Meuse River. His companions pulled him from the water and rushed him to a field hospital, where he was found to be severely injured and blinded. In the aftermath, he was heard deliriously muttering "Rommel" over and over, unintentionally becoming the first to implicate the Field Marshal Erwin Rommel in the conspiracy. This ultimately led to Rommel's forced suicide. Stülpnagel and his advisor were both arrested by the Gestapo. On the 30th of August 1944, he was brought before the People's Court, where he was berated by its president, a fanatical Nazi judge, Roland Freisler. Carl-Heinrich von Stülpnagel was 58 years old when he was found guilty of high treason and executed the same day at Plötzensee Prison in Berlin. By Hitler's direct orders, he was hanged with a meat hook and a thin hemp rope, which the people called a piano wire. In some cases, this barbaric method of execution caused the death struggle to last for 20 minutes. There were no tears shed for Carl-Heinrich von Stülpnagel.
Thanks for watching the World History Channel. Be sure to like and subscribe, and click the bell notification icon so you don't miss our next episodes. We thank you, and we'll see you next time on the channel.